Welcome to today's talk session. My name is Deidre Moss, and I'm the host of Can We Talk? I'm an educator, motivator, and a talk connoisseur. Today, we will focus on hurricane preparedness. The 2021 hurricane season began in May and will end on the 30th of November. So Can We thought it would be fitting to talk about the protocol for the hurricane season. Today, we welcome very seasoned and qualified officials to talk about this topic. And at this time, I will pass the virtual mic to our guests so that they can introduce themselves. So I will start at the top with Mr. Dwight B. King and take it from there.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Bahamas. My name is Dwight Bradley King. I'm in the Training and Disaster Management Officer at the Ministry of Public Works. I'm an engineer by profession, but I'm responsible for the coordination of all of our disaster management efforts, most notable of which is hurricanes. And we have a lot to share. Ministry Works is responsible for a lot of activities, but I'm sure we'll get into that as the time progresses. So it's very good to be here. And on behalf of our new minister, John Ralph Sayers, our permanent secretary, Ms. Corbin Colebrook, our director, Ms. Melanie Roach, all our deputy directors, and the entire team of Ministry of Public Works and Utilities. We are happy to share this good information with you. Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. I'm Geoffrey Greene, member of the Department of Meteorology. I'm a chief meteorologist here at the department. Right now, I'm stationed at the climate section. I work along with NEMA, and we work with issuing all the alerts, watches, and warnings. And we'll get more detail into that as this goes on. But yes, I've been here for 33 years at the department. And like I say, I work along with NEMA to coordinate those warning watches and alerts.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. Well, it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon amongst my colleagues, Mr. Greene and Mr. King. My name is Gayle Denise Outten-Moncur, and I'm the Deputy Director for NEMA. And I'm here on behalf of my Minister of State, Mr. LaRota, the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Carl Smith, and my Director, Stephen Russell. And it's a pleasure to be here. I've been working at NEMA from 2002 to the present. So I'm what we call a seasoned member, and I've been working along with Mr. Bradley King since that time also. So it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be amongst all of you and to help you all through this season. And as Mr. King says, we're going to always plan for the worst, but pray for the best. And we're going to make sure that that basically happens. Again, thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. I want to thank you all for those introductions. And Ms. Outten-Moncur, you would have mentioned Mr. Stephen Russell. Captain Stephen Russell. So I just wanted to thank him as well publicly for his assistance, and Mr. Lightborn, who he would have turned me on to. I want to thank them for putting this session together, helping to facilitate this session. And again, thank you for those introductions. So we'll get into our talk. So again, we'll start in the order that you would have began with. So can you tell us about your organization and your role? Can you tell us about your organization and its role as it pertains to hurricane preparedness, and really what is your role within the organization?
Certainly, thank you very much. The Ministry of Public Works is the government agency responsible for infrastructure development in the Bahamas and protection of the infrastructure primarily, okay? We are the people who have employed most of the engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, building people, inspectors, and that is, so anything dealing with that infrastructure, we report of, we deal with. As it relates to hurricanes, we're responsible for the protection of various things. Government buildings, for example, we are the ones who go to secure government buildings when hurricanes are approaching. We have to go there and secure those government assets. And we have a team of time to that. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. We do damage assessment We're the ones who go out and do, listen now, the physical aspect damage assessment, okay? We're the ones who go out and check to see houses are destroyed, are partially damaged, etc. And we have teams assigned to every jurisdiction in Bahamas. We don't do human comforting, that's social services. We don't go, it's not our job to go so hugging, though we may do that, and having course in COVID times I care about that too, but that's social services. Our job, physical damage. We assess that, okay? We clear the roads. Whenever a hurricane, there's debris on the roads, and the storm drain, the flooding, mitigating that as much as physically possible. We're the ones who go and clear the roads. We do storm drainage, tree trimming in government properties. We do not trim private properties, government properties, okay? And we coordinate the response. Usually corporations, of course, have their own plan and they know exactly what to do. We just coordinate that and work with them. And because they trust me, they have their own plans in place. And we inspect public hurricane shelters. You may see these lists on TV. For New Providence here, the shelters, and now of course in the islands, that's done in a different exercise, but we're the ones who inspect the physical aspect of hurricane shelters. Again, that committee is headed by social services, but we check to the structural, the mechanical, electrical, etc., to see that it's up to code standard. We repair generators. Most companies have generators. Make sure that they work. And I think the most thing, I'll end with this. Most people don't see this consciously, but the enforcement of Bahamas Building Code, probably the biggest thing we do in hurricane. Though of course that's an ongoing exercise. One of the reasons the Bahamas recover so quickly compared to country is because of a very strong building code. And we're developing that code. A new one is in the works. I won't say much about that because that's still in progress, but a new building code, it was in the speech from Ms. Crone today, it was mentioned that a new building code is being prepared, and I can say that. And even though people may complain about the inspections, how we meet this code, when a hurricane hits, believe me, our code is a very good building code. And that's one of the biggest things that we do that's unseen, mostly by the public. So the Ministry of Works has a lot to do with physical infrastructural development. That's our role. My role as the disaster manager is to coordinate that, make sure that probably have a hurricane plan prepared, make sure that plan is updated, get all the teams together, when it directs you with the mobilization. We have all our teams coordinated. Again, obviously, we don't have to go on that. We have teams assigned to various areas, send them out, do the assessment, get reports in, make sure that all of that is coordinated. So my role is coordinate all that infrastructural and building development aspects. Thank you so much for that good question.
Well, on my part, as the Department of Meteorology, we are the ones who are looking before those storms have been formed. We are looking at those weather systems and we're trying to find out whether they will develop and whether they will impact the Bahamas. So like I said before, we have news items that we put out, and that's to keep the public aware of what's going on around the time that we have the tropical cyclone season. So if there's anything that's trying to develop, we alert you to that, and then we further inform you. If there's an alert, that means that that storm or that system will impact the Bahamas within 60 hours. And then if it further moves towards us, then we have a watch, which is 48 hours. And then if we have that impact continue within 36 hours, that's a warning that is put out for that area. So we would want people to be informed and to be prepared and to make those arrangements to secure themselves and their property.
Sorry about that. Forgot I was on mute. Well, with the National Emergency Management Agency, along with the others, our job is really to do the coordination. So we coordinate. But first and foremost, I want persons to understand that we are an agency that coordinate as it relates to comprehensive disaster management, which means that we deal with more than one hazard. Hurricanes are only one of the hazards in which we deal with because we are now in the hurricane season. But just so that you would understand in terms of those hazards that we deal with. It would be hurricanes, floodings, tornadoes, earthquakes, even though we don't necessarily have earthquakes, but we still have to be aware of those things, wildfires, plane crashes or mishaps, terrorist attacks, hazmat, and we're in a pandemic as we speak now. So we deal with a more comprehensive, from a comprehensive perspective. We also deal with oil spills. Now that we're in the hurricane season, we focus a lot on that, but we still have to focus on how do we deal with the hurricane now that we're in this pandemic. What are some of the things that we do? So within our preparation or in the downtime, we do other preparation or other educational things that people can understand what's going on. So from the perspective of what the Met Office spoke about, when we would have said now, what are some of the things that we do during the hurricane season? And you notice he spoke on, we said that hurricane season is from June 1 until November 30th. Therefore, we rely on the Met Office to give us a lot of information. So even though we talk about the 60 hours, we try to break that down differently to the general public. So we put the 60 hours more like in days for them. So 60 hours is approximately 2.5 days. And we say to them, well, what is it that you're going to do within that 2.5 days? And we break it down as to what are the things that we think they should be doing. Well, basically, you should already have your plan. You should be able to look at your plan, be prepared, and be able to execute that plan. And then he also went on to talk about the watches. So the watch being what he said, 48 hours out. So that's about two days. So we try to give it into perspective so people can see it not only in hours, but in days, so that they can manage their time and know what they should be doing within these times. So that when you get right down to the nitty gritty of it being 36 hours out, it's imminent, it's going to have an impact. This is a day and a half. These are things that you should have already done and be doing at this time. So we try to break it down to let them know exactly what is it that you can do from a community standpoint. But when we look at the organization within ourselves, we would have been prepared from at least, I would say, 5 days out. Once we know it's within that 5-day range, we're on high alert. We have already started to, when I say activate, we are actually monitoring, but we're still kind of activated in the sense. So we're ready to be in gear as to whatever's happened. So we also gear our staff towards what is it now that you have to start doing your checks, the radio checks, making sure all of the family violence are ready. We call up the administrators, make sure all of the emergency support functions, which we say ESFs, and we start from 1 to 14, 1 being that of transportation and 14 being animal care. So we're still concerned about our animals, whether it's domestic animals or those animals that we utilize in terms of food purposes and whatnot. How are those being taken care of and through whom? So it's a very wide preparation and always staying connected with the Met Office, because the Met Office is the lead as it relates to giving the weather. A lot of people think, oh, NEMA, you're giving the weather. Well, the Met Office is a part of NEMA, who is responsible for that in terms of saying what the weather is. So we rely on their expertise. We only repeat or say what they would have already said. And sometimes just to break it down a little bit more softer for the general public to understand.
Awesome. I want to thank you for kind of, providing an understanding of really what it is that you do. Like Mr. King would have said, his area is really responsible for securing those private, government offices and facilitating that process. So I wouldn't be able to contact you to secure my yacht, not for public, just for the government.
Yeah. But we will assess private residents when we damage assessment. We assess all public and private after the disaster is passed.
Awesome. And I like that you talked about our building code as well. I mean, that is definitely a standard that we have in terms of our building code. So I like that you talked about that as well. Mm-hmm. And Ms. Outten-Moncur would have talked about NEMA being a comprehensive, because sometimes you just think about the hurricane because we don't always have those earthquakes. We're not known for those things. And so sometimes you think of NEMA as hurricane central, but I want to thank you for letting us know that it's more of a comprehensive management agency. So thank you for sharing that. And Mr. Greene, you talked about putting those notices out there, and the notices that you put out there. Ms. Outten-Moncur's area is responsible for making those notices more, I say, palatable for the public. So I want to thank you. Thank you so much for breaking that down. And so I wanted to get to preparation. I know that we're in October. November is right here. However, we're coming close to the end. We're coming close to the end of the hurricane season. However, there's still potential for storms and hurricanes to form. And so I wanted to ask, how do you recommend Bahamians continue to prepare for the hurricane season? Should we let our guard down?
Good question. Good question. Of course, the answer to your question is no, but let's break that out. The key is planning and remaining focused. Planning and preparedness and focus. The biggest danger historically has been, I believe, people who are veteran like Gail and others would bear me out on this. The biggest danger, especially when we don't have hurricanes for a season, a year, 2 years past, the idea is, well, it's gonna be okay. Especially those of us who live in Nassau, where statistically we get fewer. The idea is to say, and the idea is don't drop your guard. I think it would be my biggest advice, and just stay focused and check your house now. If you believe your house has some structural issues, and most people, they're not engineers, of course, but they can tell, boy, this roof a little shaky or like that. Get it checked out. If you're in doubt, have someone check it out. Even if you got to hire an engineer, someone who is in construction, and you don't want to, when the Met Office issues their 6-hour warning, that's not the time to be repairing a roof. Okay, you need to do that now. Also have a family plan. We'll talk about all these things later, and just say, okay, those who have family meetings, have maybe a little drill. Where's the nearest shelter? Where do I go if my house flood, where I can go to? And Susie live on the top of the hill there. So let's go there. And then you talk about these things now. You can do it around the dinner table. It's not big, And by the way, NEMA does publish some literature. I know. I give links later. They have some booklet stuff, and I'm sure they'd be happy to share it. Their website might have information. Get information. Stay focused. That would be maybe my advice.
I would like to pitch in and say the same, because this is the hurricane season. It's going to come every year. Once you're alive and living in the Bahamas, we're going to have a hurricane season. I can tell you that. It's not going to be one season that we're not going to have to prepare for a hurricane, even if we might not get one within the period of June 1st to November 30th. So if we know that this is going to happen every year, it's on you to make sure that your main source of accommodation is secured. So now if you have a house, like Mr. Bain said, Mr. King said, you want to make sure those windows get shut properly. You want to make sure the door can close properly. You want to make sure your roof ain't leaking. And you want to make sure that if you have too much rain, the water ain't come in through the door or through the window. So you have to make sure that your place of abode is going to be secure. So if you have any problems with any of those things right now, you need to really look into fixing them. I know money is a problem for some people, but if you prepare now, you put a little something aside, at least you could try and get that fixed before something is on its way to the Bahamas. You see, people normally wait until they hear something is traveling towards the Bahamas. They say, I need it fixed. And then you say, I ain't got no money. I can't find no one to fix it. So these are the things you could actually do now to secure your place. And another thing is to look around your household, your yard. If you have some big tree hanging over the roof, if a storm comes, you don't want that tree to fall on the roof. That's more work and damage that's going to happen to your house, and more money to come up with to really fix that house. So if you could get someone to trim that tree right now, or if you can do it yourself, it's even better. But if you know you can't do it, better to hire a professional and get it done properly so that you don't have problems with that tree or limb falling onto your house. So those type of things, look around. If you have a lot of stuff just laying around in your yard, this is the time right now to really get rid of them. If they're garbage, get rid of them. If they're not garbage, secure them properly in an area neatly. So when we say a storm is traveling, you don't have to be out there trying to get things together to really fix your yard for when the hurricane or storm comes. So they're the main things I can think of right now. But like I say, you can think of anything that really is around your yard or has to do with your house that you could really fix now. This is the time to fix it before we get into the time of a storm traveling.
And just to piggyback on that and to kind of tease out some more in terms of the disaster plan itself or the family plan itself, it's very simple. A lot of people think that you have to do a lot of writing. It's a lot of things to remember. Simplicity is the key. Even when you start, let's just say with a plan for fire, you have to look at everywhere in your house. And let me stick with the hurricane. Notice we always bar up all of the windows, the doors and everything. So you still need to have an escape route. Mm-hmm. You don't need to know it. Everyone in your house needs to know that escape route. If this were to happen, this is how we're going to get out. If there is flooding during a hurricane, or if this happens, this is where we're going to meet. These are the things that we have to play. Secondly, in the Bahamas, we have a lot of flooding and rain. Secure all of your documents. Make sure they are in a Ziploc or some plastic bag. And then you put that bag within a backpack or another bag that you can just grab and go. So it's a grab and go bag that you want to be able, so you have all your documents secured. So when we think about plans and planning, it's simple things like that. And I say this is the time when you gossip about that. That's the good gossip. Don't keep that part a secret. Talk it. So everyone in your family knows what to do. Know that if something go wrong, you have phone numbers, or you can say to someone, if you don't hear from me by this time, call this number, or this is who we'll call to let them know. If somebody's out of country, we'll call Aunt Jane to say, well, hey, we're safe, even though we can't hear from Uncle Mikey. So if Uncle Mikey calls Aunt Jane, he's like, well, yes, I heard from Susan. So you need to have your plan as to where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and how you're going to actually do it. And practice it. Do it. Don't just talk it and say it, but you must execute it. You have to know exactly how you're going to get out of your home if something goes wrong, whether it's flooding, fire, the roof collapse, whatever, and where you're going to meet. In terms of your disaster preparedness kit, it can go anywhere from something small into something large and extravagant. And I always say to people, we're in the Bahamas, we're surrounded by water. So you should have life vests. You should have a rope. A rope can be used for two things. One, if you have a second-story building, you'll be able to climb down if you're up. Secondly, if you have to wade through water, you can tie each other together so that you don't lose each other's way. You make sure that you always have on shoes and something that is covered, so that when you're walking through that water or wading through the water, your feet that don't get cut or anything happen from that sense. You may be fortunate to have a wave runner, or what we call a jet ski. You may have a rubber dinghy. It can go from small to really large and extravagant. It's also good to have hard hats. So let's say that you're wading through the water and you have a hard hat and something might be coming, at least your head would be protected from whatever may hit you or whatever the case may be. So you have to think it through in terms of if you have to wade through water, if you have to hold on, if you need to keep track of what's happening, especially if you have small children, you want them to be able to stay safe and to be safe with you. So when you think about family plans, you think in that sense, what am I going to do if this were to happen? What does the child need to know? And I always used to say to my children during the time, but they're grown now, they're 25 and 26, thank you, Lord. But as we moved through, I never allowed them during the hurricane season to sleep in pajamas. They had to sleep in something soft, and their tennis shoes or someplace was right on the side. And sometimes it depends on how old they were. I would make them keep on the shoes, because when it was time to grab and go, you got to grab and carry them. You don't have time to think. But most of the time I was at work. So my husband was left to deal with them. And so, but we had a plan. There was always a plan in place. He knew what to do. And you need to know where your children are going to be sleeping during the hurricane, because you need to be able to have access to each other. And that's the time you should huddle in a particular way, in a particular area. So if something goes wrong, it's not, oh my God, trying to reach. So during that storm time, that's the huddling time. That's the time understanding what's happening, in conjunction with being prepared to all of the other things that Mr. King would have said and Mr. Greene would have said. But this is that more intimate, integral thing that you would need to know and to understand as a family unit, where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and how you're going to get there.
The only thing I'll add to that, if I may, is that the locations of the public hurricane shelters are published widely on TV, radio, the internet, etc.
Yes.
You need to familiarize yourself with the nearest hurricane shelter in your area, so the voice comes to voice. You know where it is. Get there. There are signs on them. So as you drive around, just think, oh, that church is the hurricane shelter. So if push comes to shove, if the voice comes to voice, I will know how to get there. My family know how to get there. And also, if you in a low-lying area, it is going to flood, have somewhere to go. And if you have to go into the attic, make sure you have like a hammer or some crowbar, something so if all else fails, you could break through the roof and at least get on top of the roof and hail someone for help. So these are little things. When I was at university, I learned a precept called the 6P principle. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. And that's always stuck with me. When it comes to disaster management, I think we do well to adhere to that precept. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you. And thank you, Mr. King, with that last 6P principle. That is a tongue twister, but hopefully, we can apply that. And what I like about the agencies is you kind of meet people where they are. You have print, you have television, you have radio, and then you also have text as well. So you text people, you let people know. I know I received text before. So you were meeting people where they're at. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And so moving into the third point, what can you say as we look at hurricane season 2021, and as we transition out of this season, what can you say about the activity within this season?
I'll start, Mr. King, since that's more.
Yes.
This season has been very active. Last season, we had 30 storms. 13 of them became hurricane and 6 were major hurricanes. This year already, we have already had 21 storms. 21 storms. Fortunately for us, none of them impacted us directly, but we have already succumbed to the numbers that were predicted by the National Hurricane Center, from AccuBell, Weather Bell, all of those Colorado states, all of those went in for about 18, maybe to 21 storms. And basically the year is not out as yet in terms of hurricane season. So we know that we will surpass those predictions. So since I'm hinting at you now that it's still very active. We know that there's a second peak. The major peak was September 10th. But a second peak is in October, around mid to the third week of October, when we have storms that form, and they normally form right around the Bahamas. We have a low pressure system just to the east of us right now, trying its best to form, but I don't think it'll form near us. It may form as it goes towards the northeast. But this is the area that storms form in October, around the Gulf, around the Bahamas, and around the northwestern Caribbean Sea. So we have to be very careful now as we enter this last few months of the hurricane season, that we are prepared and in case there's anything that forms near us or over us. So if you're looking at what has already passed, like I said, there's already 21 storms that has passed. And We know that last year we had 30. They didn't expect us to surpass 21. So be prepared. That's all I have to say.
Okay. And let me go back to my point about remaining vigilant. As I'm sure we can have a discussion later on COVID-19 as it relates to disaster management. We'll come to that, but I think in the midst of all that, it's very easy to sort of push it, hurricane, well, on the back burner. And I just want to encourage the Bahamian public not to just do that. And again, these are practical things. What my colleague DPS Moncur is saying, they're not hard things to do. They're simple. It's just a matter of being proactive, talking about it, doing it, and not saying, well, we'll get around to it someday. I'm sure all of us in our lives, especially youth, say, well, we'll get to it tomorrow. And I'm guilty. I plead guilty too. But let's just do a little something every day. And I have some practical points that I can get into later. But I echo, of course, the Met Office, my colleague, Mr. Greene, and just want to say, check. And if you're in doubt about your structure of your house, your hurricane shelters, don't wait, check. You might find you can't find this particular shutter, and someone thieved the key during the off season, and I can't find the nuts to secure it. And again, 2 days for hurricane is not the time to be scrambling around trying to do that. So let's prepare now. 6P principle, right? Okay.
And just to close off too, very shortly, and I won't prolong this point either. When you think, not only looking at the shelters, but within your own community, know whose home that you could probably even go to in the times of stress during the hurricane. Know your neighbors. Understand what's going on within your neighborhood. That's all I could say. You know, it takes a village to rear a child, but it also takes that village to help to keep everything going. So know your neighbors, know what's happening, and you, along with your neighborhood, be prepared.
Awesome. Thank you. And so we move into our next point. Is there one piece of advice? Is there one, as we would have talked about the active 2021 hurricane season, is there one piece of advice that you would give to Bahamians as it pertains to the remainder of the hurricane season?
I can only reiterate what Mr. Greene says. Prepare, stay focused, don't become complacent. And just especially since we've not had a direct hit so far, Mr. Greene, you don't want to say, again, I don't sound like broken record, but I just want to encourage people, you don't want to get caught unawares. It's better to have what you need and not need it than to need it and not have it.
And don't have it.
So just be prepared. The rest I'll defer to Mr. Greene and my colleague, DPS Moncur.
I definitely agree with you, Mr. King. You're living someplace. If you're secure now, make sure that you stay secure. That means that you have to look at your surroundings. You have to look at where you're living and say to yourself, is there anything else I can do to prevent anything from happening to me if there's a storm? And that's what, just as you said, you have to go and check yourself out, see what's needed. If you're short on supplies, you have to now say, all right, well, I can have to save a couple dollars just to make some more, to gather some more supplies. So if something happens, I'll have something on hand. Because not everybody has the means, the money to buy a bunch of things at once. But if you prepare now and before the storm, you can at least get a few things here and there before the storm is forming. So yes. You can make provisions even if you don't have the means, that amount of money like a lot of people have. So that's how I would do it. And I suggest that you do it that way. If you say you don't have money like that, you just buy one or two things, put it aside. And then if a storm comes, then you have something. You're not without anything. You have to go and look for something. So, and the same thing about doing things. Like Mr. King said, we like to procrastinate. All of us do it. But if you say this week, you know, I can try and clean up all these loose items from my yard, because it really can be a problem if a storm comes for me to get all these things together and be prepared for the storm. So one evening you go outside and you say, well, I need this stuff. Let me throw this in the pile and go to the garbage. So when a storm traveling, everybody will put out their rubbish for the garbage man to come. And so it's like the garbage man trying to pick up everybody's garbage at the same time. And so you may not get that garbage pickup. So what happens if a storm comes? Those same items becomes missiles and they damage other people's homes. So we have to think in advance, like Mr. King said, and be prepared to do what we need to do now before there's even the inclination of a storm forming. That's my 2 cents.
Yes, and you know
Well,
what?
the practicality, just putting it in a practical sense for those, when you talked about not having the funds, if you start from January, what you buy, if you're used to buying 2 tins of cream, then you buy 3. But if you can't afford 3, then you buy 2 and you take 1 and you put it away. And if you continue like that, putting 1 item away that you would need, you would find by the time you get to March, April, May, you'd be like, wow, here is my hurricane supply, but put it in a box, a container, and you leave it in that container. And like I said, I used to say to my kids or anybody else, I don't care if we don't have nothing in that cupboard, you don't touch this till after hurricane. Now, after hurricane, it's free for all. Then you start all over again. So in a nutshell, if you fail to plan, then you obviously, you plan to fail.
Yes. And you know what? If I add one point here, these things are not, most of them are reusable, you know. If, for example, let's say you buy a hammer for hurricane, after hurricane season, you can throw that away. You can still use it for other things. You still use the plywood or whatever for other things. So anything like you waste it, it's going to be wasted. And the other thing they say, just to take away from what Gail said, I was going to say at the end, you buy all this food, you stock up, you keep your hurricane kit. Hurricane, if the hurricane come in the season, have what I heard this many years ago. Someone suggested this. It's not original to me. Have a hurricane party. All the little stuff that you can, the stuff, they're perishable, right? So the date can expire anyway. So you might as well eat them before they expire. So you get all the stuff you're stocking up. Afterwards, you open up the can of soup and this and that before they expire, and you have a little nice family hurricane party. So you celebrate the end of the hurricane season. So these things aren't gonna be wasted. You don't have to waste them. Just a matter of thinking practically.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for those helpful advice and tips. I was just also like Mr. King, I wanted to piggyback off what Ms. Outten-Moncur would have said about those buying those food. Sometimes it's like a tradition, when we find hurricane come, everybody rushes to the store, they go in and they buy all the grocery, and sometimes they eat through the food before, and then we rush to the gas station to fill up on gas, like, where are we going? But, but I also wanted to talk about what Mr. King said, the hurricane party. I never heard that before. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we move into our next point. How would you rate Bahamians? How would you rate our level of preparation for hurricane seasons? Are we doing good?
I'll let Gail start with that one.
Nobody want to answer that one?
How would I rate us? I would rate us at a C-. We could be A's, but we're really at a C- because we are a culture that wait for things to be done when we could have been prepared. We know. It's not the not knowing, it's the waiting and waiting and waiting. As they say, the wait breaks down the wagon. So we have the capability of being A1 because we know what to do. But I rate us at a C-. because we're constantly in this waiting phase. It's almost like you're playing Russian roulette. Just wait to see if hurricane can come, and then if it look like it coming, I'm going to do this. When you would have had enough time to do what you would have needed to do. So I'm going to step out on the limb and say C-.
Okay, I would probably be a little more optimistic and give it a C, but same principle. It's like there's no lack of information. I mean, NEMA has been just tremendous through its communication part. And by the way, there's an ESF just dealing with communications, by the way. Hello? Shall I continue?
Yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
And so we have to be at the point where, but we just don't do it. And I would like to, dare I say, that this sort of, how can I put it? A subconscious dependence. Well, we know NEMA can tell us, and we know they're going to, my socials can provide us with the food and the ice and the this and that. I'd like to see us have a little more what I call skin in the game in terms of, look, this is my family, okay? And it's ultimately it's my responsibility. Because you know what might happen? The line may be so long, the food store run with this, run with that. The gas station, you're waiting to be refilled itself. So you want to sort of just, again, be more proactive in terms of saying, and as Mr. Greene touched on, okay, money might be tight. If you do it a little bit, as DPS Outten was saying, just sort of just build it up over time. But that requires a level. Just each week I go to the food store, I can buy a little something extra. So that's my challenge. I think if we do that, we'll move to that higher level. I think what's happening is the building code and our planning, institutional planning, which I know from its works we do, we've been that safety net. And perhaps I wonder, you can be careful not to be so complacent with that. And yes, we definitely, we'll do the assessment, do the instruction, the house built properly. Most homes built to code, will stand, but that's another technical discussion for another time. But I'd like to see us go a little further and say, okay, I must take a little more responsibility because ultimately it's my family. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yes,
well,
go ahead.
Okay, I agree with Mr. King. I would go with a C. And I think that I would even drop it to a C- for New Providence, because a lot of times we hear all of the information, but we fail to act on it. So we know this is a hurricane season. We know what we're supposed to do, but we don't act on it like Miss Gayle Outten-Moncur said. We wait until, well, the hurricane coming now, or I hear a hurricane traveling, and then we act, and then that's when everybody acts at the same time, and then that's when you lose out, because you go to the shop and not much in the shop. You go to purchase plywood, everybody then beat you to the hardware store, so most of the plywood is gone. So that's the problem. We wait too late. It's almost like you scrapping and you meet a lot of traffic on the road, because everybody now just trying to go to the store or trying to get things done. So if you can do most of the things that require you running up and down now, or have them on hand, you would not have that congestion and that, that running around to do when you have a hurricane traveling, because you're already prepared most of it. So you may have to get some little thing here and a little thing there, but you won't be on the road like the entire day trying to get things done and still not being able to find what you want, because the stores are running out of supplies, the hardware is running out of supplies, and then you can't get to where you want to get because the congestion on the road. So I suggest, you do all of the things well in advance. So when these news items or watches or warnings come out, you will be getting prepared. As time as you hear is a watch, you should be almost ready for any eventuality that a warning will be issued in the 36 hours. That's how I think about it. Ms. Moncur?
Yeah, just to wrap it all up, basically, like for me, even if a hurricane was to say it developed today in a few hours, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, I'm too calm, I'm too cool. Everything I already have in place. So for me, it's been so many years of doing it. No matter when it's called, I'm basically prepared. It may be one small, 2 items, but I don't worry about that particular 1 or 2 items. It's just so minute that it doesn't necessarily bother me to that level. And sometimes, you know, we sit around and we joke about it, but it's serious, but it's a good thing. Why they running around like chicken out of head? They ain't got this stuff yet. And I look at it and I'm like, oh, you ready, Gail? So, you know, it's just really to stay committed, and the responsibility relies with you as an individual and every individual to always be prepared. It's not the responsibility of the government to prepare you. It's your individual responsibility to prepare yourself. But it is the responsibility of the government to ensure the safety of people.
Yes.
Excellent,
Agreed.
excellent points, excellent points. And we move into our next point. We look at, you know, we're still in the pandemic. We're still being impacted by COVID-19. And how has COVID-19 impacted our hurricane preparation, at least from your end?
It shouldn't have really impacted us in any way. Not that significant, because the preparation is still the same. Whether the only difference is we're now social distancing and we're wearing masks. But in terms of preparing from start to finish, the preparation is exactly the same thing. The only difference is now it's more of you would have to ensure that you have more hygienic stuff, in the sense of your sanitizers to be readily available, because, you know, sometimes water may go off, you mightn't have proper water. So you need that in terms of the sanitizing portion of it, and just concentrate more in that sense. But I don't think the preparation itself, there's any difference within the preparation.
Yeah, I fully agree with DPS Moncur. The protocol, the activities we do remain the same. It's just that the teams, for example, when go to have to wear the mask, of course, sanitize and social distancing. But most of what we do, we can do with social distancing. For example, we used to use paper forms to do damage assessment. We now use an app on the phone. So you can stand in front of the house and just take it. And the computer technology automatically tags that house, where it is, how you put in the information right remotely, and that uploads to a satellite, which stored it in a database, which generates report. So all those things are sort of, you know, it's just a matter of the protocol. But in terms of the strategy of preparation and mitigation and response, it's basically the same.
And I agree with both of you. The only thing I think that you got to keep in mind that you got to have your disposable mask, your cloth mask, your sanitation liquids. Those are the things you need. And if you so desire, you should get vaccinated, because if you know that you may have to leave your household and you may have to go among people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, then to protect yourself, you should get that. So that's my suggestion, but I mean, it's up to the person, and because you never know. You never know if you have to leave your household.
As you speak, Ms. Greene, for example, in the hurricane shelter, you don't know, there might be people there who are COVID positive, who are carriers, not even having symptoms. So you really want to take a shot. If you have to go to the shelter, you really want to do what you can to protect yourself, because you don't know if that thought become a thought or not. So
well, the reality is we go to the food store every day and we don't know who is positive and not positive. So it is important, as Mr. Greene said, you know, if you wish, but I would encourage you to become vaccinated to protect yourself and to protect your family members.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that information. And so is there anything else you would like to add as we conclude this session? Is there anything else any of you would like to add?
Yes, if I may just start off. Hurricanes are one of the things that Dorian, every tragedy, I believe there's opportunity. In every adversity, there's opportunity. And perhaps one of the lessons, silver linings came out of the dark love of Dorian was the importance of being vigilant. We go for these stretches and you never know, and we sort of, now we are taking a lot more serious. Again, in the province, like Mr. Greene, in New Providence, the level, probably not as, the level of complacency might be less than the Family Islands, probably, but we have to find a way to maintain that. The information is going to go out. NEMA is going to do that. We're going to, on the TV, on the internet, on the writing, their posters, the information you can get, that will continue. But like you say, as the Bible says, be doers of the word and not hearers only. And we want to just want to say, just do it, and don't see it as something hard or onerous. You can discuss these things around the dinner table. You can teach your children while driving to school. You can pick up a little something extra while you're shopping. You don't have to go to the food store anyway. And so the little things could make the difference when the crisis comes. Thank you.
I agree with you, Mr. King. The main thing is that we live in the hurricane belt, so we know there's a possibility of us getting a hurricane or being hit by a storm during June 1st through November 30th. In fact, sometimes during after November 30th, we still have storms that are traveling. So it could be outside that season even at all. So we have to be vigilant and we have to be prepared, like Mr. King said. We have to do what we have to do to keep ourselves safe. So I'm encouraging for anyone out there who isn't prepared to make a plan and start to do it. Like Mr. King said, act on that plan, because it's never too late. Once you are doing it before the storm, then it's never too late. Now, if the storm comes and you're not prepared, then that's a different. But you have all the opportunity now to start to do something to prevent any harm coming to you and your family.
Well, I would begin by saying, working today for a safer tomorrow, we need to, one, have a plan in place and ensure that everyone knows where it is and what it is. Secondly, prepare your home and office with supplies well in advance. Thirdly, execute your plan, taking note of any glitches so as to make adjustments necessary now, not in the midst of the storm. And with that, I want to still encourage you to go and get vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you to my guests. I want to thank you all, my guests, for joining us in this session today as we would have talked about hurricane preparedness. And I would like to thank our viewers for listening in. And I want to ask our guests, is there any pages you want to share? I know that NEMA's page. Is there any other page you want to share?
The Department of Meteorology has a web page, met.gov.bs. You can go there and you can find information on the weather, especially if the storm is traveling. We will have that information posted there also.
I would default to the NEMA site has a lot of hurricane information on it. The only thing I'll say is the Ministry of Works does have a hotline. So if you have any things, it's like potholes in the road or flooding, but we probably know is a drainage well not draining properly, or really anything, be it something dealing with the roads or the infrastructure, etc. The number there, 302-9700, 302-9700. You can call our hotline, not only for hurricane matters, any matter dealing with, like you say, potholes and this tree fall across the road or anything along those lines, anything like that. And make sure you can call our hotline and we have a maximum place to respond, 302-9700. Thanks very much.
And just so that the general public would understand, we all are NEMA and we operate under one voice, one response. Many moving parts.
Awesome.
One voice, one response.
Many
moving parts.
Yes.
One voice, one response, and many moving parts.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Gayle Outten-Moncur, Deputy Director of NEMA, Mr. Geoffrey Greene, Chief Meteorologist, and Dwight B. King, Disaster and Training Officer within the Ministry of Works. I want to thank you for the knowledge that you would have shared today, and hopefully it will impact those who will be listening in, or later on who may be able to view the video. And so I want to thank those who are listening, and I want to ask them to like our page for future notifications of upcoming discussions. Comment under our videos, let us know your thoughts, and let us know what you want us to talk about. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Can We Talk? Follow us on Instagram and Twitter using the addresses provided on our page. Thank you, good evening, and let's keep talking. Let's keep